This is a portable carbon monoxide meter. It's rechargeable and it also measures temperature and humidity. I was sent this to review for free. If you wanted to purchase it, it would cost you about $30. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinion remains my own. So in the box, we get the carbon monoxide detector itself, which has a protective piece of plastic over the screen. We have a USB-A to C charging cable. There's a USB-C charging port on the bottom. And we have a user's manual here. And it says it will measure between 0 and 1,000 parts per million. The accuracy is plus or minus 5 parts per million. So with carbon monoxide, the EPA says that anything under 9 parts per million is permissible. If you're in the 10 to 20 parts per million range, there's a problem in the house. It's probably not going to kill you immediately, but it may give you fatigue, headaches, that type of thing. Anything above that, you really need to be getting out of the house and getting to fresh air. So let's turn this guy on. All right, I pushed the button for several seconds. It beeped and turned on. It says 30, 28, it's counting down. So right now, I assume it is calibrating its sensor. And after 30 seconds of the sensor kind of settling, it will be able to give us a reading. All right. It is detecting 0 parts per million, which sounds right because my house has no gas appliances and there's been nothing burning in my house. So that's a good sign for me. Now currently it is 24 centigrade and 56% relative humidity. I'm pushing the FC button, it changes to 75 Fahrenheit and 56% humidity. There is a battery icon that has 3 of 4 squares lit, so I assume the battery is about 75% charged from the factory. Now, reading the manual, it says, warning, ensure the device is activated in an area with clean, unpolluted air. So don't turn this on inside your tent or inside your RV if you're checking it for carbon monoxide, because what it's doing is it's calibrating that sensor while it's doing that 30-second countdown. So you need to be outside of the building and then calibrate the sensor, turn it on, let it warm up for the 30 seconds, and then take this device into the area you need to check, because it's looking at that ambient carbon monoxide reading while it's calibrating. So this device has pre-built in a high and low alarm setting. The high level is 200 parts per million, and that's where this thing's going to be flashing lights and beeping continuously and basically saying, hey, get out of the house. The low setting is set to 30 parts per million, and that's where it's flashing lights and beeping, but not quite as noisily. And that means, hey, you need to definitely repair something. It may not be fatal immediately, but you know, that's definitely too high. Now there's also a max and average button, so you can say, hey, what's the maximum reading, what's the average reading, or just what's the current reading. If you push the hold button, it will hold the reading so you could show it to somebody else. There's also a disable the beeper alarm button if it gets annoying, but really, if the beeper alarm is going off, you need to be moving, not disabling the alarm. Now the key thing to check on this guy is, does it detect the presence of carbon monoxide? So I'm just burning a little torch here about 8 inches below this thing. I don't want to get super hot air going by it, but ideally the combustion byproducts here, now it is a nice clean burning blue flame, so it's doing a pretty good job burning there, but ideally this thing would start detecting something with a flame that is producing carbon monoxide. Now, if you have a super clean burning flame, it may not be producing much carbon monoxide. So just from a torch with a clean flame, I'm getting nothing. We're going to try the candle next. Try snuffing the candle out. So there, the candle went out, it puffed. Of course, I just pressure locked the lid on. Okay, we have a whole bunch of smoke coming out of there. So I'm not getting anything yet. if my wife asks where this soot came from, deny everything. All right, there we go. I concentrated enough carbon monoxide into this thing, we hit the low alarm. So by burning a candle inside of a jar, I was able to concentrate the parts per million of the carbon monoxide in a small enough area that it rose up, and we got above the 30 level. So this is the low alarm, and you can see here it's slowly going down now. I suspect there's a hysteresis in the sensoring element. And so there it's below 30, so it stopped the slow beeping. Now if I do the max, it says, hey, the maximum I detected in that jar was 89 parts per million. The average over time is 3 because it's been in the 0 for a long time. And right now it's going down, it's down to 0. Let me put this back in the jar. Now I had the lid on the jar off there a bit. So I think the carbon monoxide is kind of dissipated around. Oh, it's got to 10, 11. Okay, so we're 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 14, 16. So it is definitely able to detect carbon monoxide. Now I have no way of knowing how accurate it is. I have no other equipment to test it against, but it looks like it's accurate enough to detect carbon monoxide before it would kill you, which I think is the kind of key thing of a device like this. So it's about 15 there at the top. Take it off, put it in open air, and it starts going down. And it goes back down to 10 and so forth. And now it's, well, it does 0 and 10. So it kind of looks like it jumps right from 0 to 10. So they say a plus or minus 5 parts per million ability to measure here, but I think it's not going to detect anything less than about 10. Maybe that's programmed in because the EPA says anything below 9 you just ignore essentially. Now this is not a carbon monoxide alarm. I don't know how it would work if you just left it on all the time. It does beep an alarm, but you're not supposed to be using this as a warning device. It's really a meter. So you turn it on and then you go into a space, you're checking out a gas hot water heater, a gas propane heater, something like that to see if it's clean burning or not, or if there's a carbon monoxide issue. But don't rely on this while you're sleeping to save your life. Buy an actual carbon monoxide alarm. All right, the back of this thing says Sensyx, model number PCD100, gas carbon monoxide, range 0 to 1,000 parts per million, battery 1.5 amp hour. All right, this guy came with a USB A to C cable. I want to see if it will negotiate power delivery charging over a USB-C cable. And it does look like it's negotiating power delivery charging, so it will work with any power delivery USB-C charger. It's taking 5 volts at half an amp right now. The battery indicator here is climbing from the right to the left, indicating that it is charging. So I'm not going to bother doing a runtime test on this meter. I've had it turned on for probably about 35 minutes now, and the battery indicator hasn't gone down from the 3 boxes. I suspect this guy is going to be one of these things that you plug in maybe once a month, or maybe just getting it out of the closet to use, you plug it in to charge it if it's been in there for a long time. But it doesn't appear to take a lot of power, and as a meter, you turn this on, you use it, and then you turn it off, and you put it away for quite a while. All right, let's take this guy apart and look at what's inside of it. All right, we have a circuit board, battery, and a sensor board. Alright, so having taken this guy apart, I have identified it is using a Figaro 5141 carbon monoxide sensor, which is a legit sensor. The only thing you need to know about this sensor is it is a electrochemical sensor, and it has a 10-year lifetime. So after 10 years, this sensor may stop working because it runs out of the catalytic materials inside of it. So this guy is warranted to work for 2 years. They have a 2-year warranty. And in the manual it says, hey, check this thing periodically with a known source of carbon monoxide like an automobile exhaust to make sure it's still working. You might put a note on the back of it, expires in 10 years, or put the date it expires on, because this is an electrochemical sensor that is designed for 10 years of life. It might go longer, but at some point it will stop working when all of the catalyst material is used up. Alright, so from taking it apart, I've learned it has a legit carbon monoxide sensor in there with at least a 10-year shelf life. I haven't peeled the foam off of this battery, but it looks like it could certainly be a 1.8 amp hour battery. So it looks like all of the specifications they claim are pretty reasonable, and I trust it to detect carbon monoxide.